Chosen one, pause for a moment. Did the number 111 on the thumbnail catch your eye? That spark of curiosity wasn't random. It was a divine invitation. In the Bible and Christian life, 1111 symbolizes God's perfect alignment, the unity of the Holy Trinity, and His precise timing. Psalm 111:122 declares, "Praise the Lord. I will extol the Lord with all my heart. Great are the works of the Lord. They are pondered by all who delight in them." This number signals that you're exactly where God intends you to be. You didn't arrive here by chance or an algorithm's nudge. This is God's divine orchestration calling you to hear His affirmation. You are chosen, and He is deeply pleased with you. Why did this message draw you in? Was it a quiet stirring in your spirit, a longing for reassurance, or a question about whether your sacrifices mattered? Take a moment to reflect. What brought you here today? God has silenced the world's noise to speak directly to your heart, affirming every step you've taken in faith. As a prophetic act, I invite you to share in the comments where you're watching from your city or country and type 111. This declares your alignment with God's purpose and seals His promise over you. Luke 6:38 assures, "Give and it will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." What you offer today, your faith, your time, your testimony, God will multiply tenfold in your life. Chosen one, listen carefully. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you because this word is no coincidence. You are here because God has chosen you to hear His affirmation. You did the right thing. Even when no one noticed, when the cost felt heavy, when others mocked your choices, you walked in obedience, and heaven is deeply pleased with you. You thought the silence after your obedience meant nothing happened, but every act of surrender shook the unseen realms. When you said no to what wasn't from God and yes to His way, the heavens shifted. You may not have felt the earthquake beneath your feet, but angels recorded your obedience and the enemy trembled. You are not like everyone else. You are chosen. The very fact that you're here hearing this is proof. Your choices matter. The enemy tried to convince you that your obedience was wasted, that walking away was foolish, that holiness cost you too much. But hear God's whisper now, "You pleased me." Every sleepless night wrestling with decisions, every tear shed letting go of the familiar. Every moment you chose the narrow path over the easy road, it was never in vain. The one who sees in secret is rewarding you openly. Isaiah 40:31 proclaims, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Chosen one, this promise is yours. You chose hope in God over your own strength, His timing over counterfeit promises. Though weariness pressed in God says your strength is being renewed, you will rise like an eagle soaring above those who doubted you. Do not let the enemy trick you into regret. He whispers that you missed out. He tries to paint pictures of what could have been if you had stayed, if you had compromised, if you had bent to the pressure, but those pictures are lies. You didn't lose, you gained. You didn't miss out, you were preserved. You didn't walk away empty, you walked into fullness. Remember this truth, obedience may cost you temporarily, but disobedience costs you eternally. And you chose wisely. You chose life, you chose destiny, you chose God's smile over man's approval. Now, chosen one, I invite you to seal this word. If this message touches your spirit, pause and show agreement. Like this message so others can hear what you are hearing. Share it so another chosen one may be reminded they are not forgotten. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you never miss what heaven releases next. Finally, as a prophetic act of faith, type this number in the comments: 222. This number represents divine alignment and confirmation. When you type it, you're declaring, "I believe I did the right thing, and God is pleased with me." Chosen one, the scroll of heaven has recorded your obedience. The Father's eyes rest on you with joy. And this is only the beginning. Chosen one, you walked away. That moment you turned your back on what drained your spirit was not weakness, it was divine alignment. The world told you that holding on was strength, that loyalty to broken systems was noble, that tolerating abuse was endurance. But heaven saw what they could not see. You were being suffocated. And when you stepped out, when you walked away, it was not rebellion. It was obedience to the whisper of God in your soul. Think back to that moment. You felt the pull of comfort, the temptation of familiarity. Your heart battled between staying in the known and stepping into the unknown. The enemy whispered, "Don't leave. If you walk away, you'll lose everything." But deep down, you knew to stay would mean death to your spirit, death to your calling, death to the very light inside you. And so, trembling, uncertain but determined, you walked, beloved. Heaven recorded that step. You thought no one noticed. You thought you were just another weary soul making a hard decision. But in the unseen, angels stood to attention because a chosen one had chosen God over compromise. The realm of darkness quivered because your step of faith was a declaration that their hold on you was broken. Many will not understand your departure. They will call it pride. They will call it foolishness. Some may even twist it and call it betrayal. But hear me clearly, it was not betrayal. It was preservation. You didn't walk away to abandon. You walked away to survive. You didn't leave because you hated. You left because you loved God more than the prison you were chained in. And in time, you will see what you thought was a step of loss will be revealed as the first step into destiny. Walking away was not weakness, it was strength. It was the moment you said, "God, I trust you more than I trust what I can see." The apostle reminds us in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17, "Therefore come out from among them, and be separate, says the Lord. Do not touch what is unclean, and I will receive you." This is exactly what you did. Chosen one, you came out from among them. You separated yourself from what was defiling your soul. You dared to let go of what others still cling to. And the Lord Himself promises not only will He receive you, but He will mark you as His own. Your separation was not rejection, it was adoption. You stepped out, and God stepped in. Now in this moment, let the weight of heaven's affirmation sink into you. You did not fail by walking away. You succeeded. You didn't run, you rose. You didn't abandon, you ascended. And even if right now you feel the ache of loneliness or the sting of misunderstanding, know this: the space you created by leaving what drained you is the same space God is now filling with His glory. The road ahead may still feel uncertain. There will be days when the enemy taunts you with what-ifs. He will replay the scenes you left behind, tempting you with regret. But remember, regret is a chain forged by lies. The truth is that your obedience rescued you from destruction. Had you stayed, your light would have dimmed. Your joy would have faded. Your destiny would have been delayed. Chosen one, hear this carefully. Separation always precedes elevation. Before God raises you, He removes you. Before He pours new oil, He empties the old vessel. Before He places you on the mountain, He calls you out of the valley. This is not punishment, it is preparation. Look at Abraham called to leave his homeland. Look at Moses called to leave Egypt. Look at Ruth, who walked away from everything familiar to follow Naomi into the unknown. Every story of destiny begins with a walk away, and now yours does too. So do not mourn what is gone. Celebrate that heaven trusted you with enough courage to leave. Celebrate that God chose you strong enough to step into the unfamiliar. Celebrate that though people may not understand, heaven is applauding. You walked away, and it was the right thing. You may still be in the wilderness, but remember, the wilderness is not the destination. It is the transition. You will not die here. You will not be forgotten here. You will be prepared here and then lifted into promise. Chosen one, lift your head. You are not empty. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are seen, loved, chosen, and approved. Heaven smiles because of your step of faith. And soon the fruit of that step will overflow in your life, so much that those who doubted you will see the hand of God resting upon you. Chosen one, you resisted the trap. Do you know how rare that is in this hour? Most fall because the bait is sweet, because the promise of pleasure blinds the eye to the poison hidden inside. But you, when the snare was laid before you, when temptation whispered your name, you chose holiness instead of compromise. Heaven saw it, hell felt it, and right now the Spirit of God wants you to know you did the right thing. The trap was not small. It was crafted to your weakness, designed for your desire, personalized to break you. The enemy had studied your patterns, your wounds, your longings. He thought this time he had you. He thought the glitter of the bait would override the voice of God within you. But you shocked the kingdom of darkness. Instead of yielding, you stood. Instead of falling, you fought. Instead of hiding, you clung to light. Beloved, resisting was not easy. Your flesh cried out. Your emotions wrestled. Your heart ached. You could have taken the shortcut. You could have silenced conviction. You could have joined the crowd. Yet you remembered who you are. You remembered you are chosen. You remembered the one who called you is holy. And you could not betray him just to satisfy a moment. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13 confirms, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." This scripture was alive in you. That way out wasn't dramatic. It was a whisper, a sudden reminder of destiny. And you took it. That's why you're still standing. That's why your light still burns. That's why you haven't been swallowed by the darkness that swallowed so many before you. Chosen one, let this truth settle in your soul. Resisting was victory. The enemy wants you to think you're weak because you struggled. But struggling is not failing. Struggle is proof that you did not surrender. If you were truly defeated, there would have been no battle, only silence. But because you resisted, you have proof that your spirit is alive and that God's power was greater than the pull of sin. Resisting did something else too. It marked you. Every time you resist, you grow stronger. Every no to sin becomes a louder yes to God. Every moment you walk away from compromise, you build spiritual muscles the enemy cannot tear down. You may not see it, but in the spirit you stand taller now. You carry more authority because obedience increases authority. And not only that, but your resistance became warfare for others. When you said no, you didn't just preserve yourself, you preserved generations. The cycle that destroyed those before you, the weakness that ran through your family line, the secret sins that crippled your bloodline, you resisted them. And by resisting, you broke them. What stopped others will not stop you. The trap is proof of your value. Nobody sets snares for those who pose no threat. The enemy laid a trap because he knew your potential terrified him. But the fact that you resisted is proof that you are already walking in victory. If hell is afraid of you now, imagine what will happen when you fully step into your calling. Chosen one. I want you to pause for a moment and seal this revelation in the comments. Type this simple declaration, I resist. Type it as a prophetic act. When you write those words, you are stamping your identity in the Spirit. You are saying, I resist every trap. I resist every lie. I resist every plan of the enemy. And heaven will see your declaration, while the forces of darkness will hear it like thunder. Your obedience is not quiet in the Spirit. It echoes. Angels rally when you resist. Demons scatter when you resist, and the Father smiles when you resist. The trap was meant to end you, but instead it proved you. Now walk boldly, knowing this God is deeply pleased with you. Your refusal to compromise is being written in heaven's record, and the reward you cannot yet see will overtake you at the appointed time. The trap you resisted today has opened a gate for tomorrow's blessing. Chosen one, you spoke truth. Do you realize how powerful that is in an age where lies echo louder than wisdom? To open your mouth and declare what is right, even when your voice trembled, is a weapon greater than the enemy imagined. You did not stay silent when silence would have been easier. You did not bow to pressure when compromise would have brought comfort. Instead, you chose the narrow way. You honored God by letting truth rise above fear. Every time you spoke, the atmosphere shifted. People may not have clapped for you. Some may have rolled their eyes. Others may have mocked, and still others may have turned their backs. But in the unseen realm, your words cut through darkness like a sword. What you declared carried weight not because you are loud, but because you are chosen. Speaking truth is not cheap. It costs relationships, opportunities, even safety at times. But what you gained is priceless, the approval of heaven. The moment you said what others dared not say, you aligned yourself with prophets, apostles, and every witness of God's voice who stood in the fire for the sake of righteousness. There were times you wanted to keep quiet. You felt your heart pounding, your mouth dry, your mind telling you, stay out of it, don't make it worse. Yet deep inside, a fire burned that you could not contain. That fire was the Spirit of God pressing you, urging you, refusing to let your silence give consent to lies. So you opened your mouth even if your words shook, and in that act you honored the Lord. Jeremiah chapter 20 verse 9 proclaims, His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. This is your testimony. The word of truth burned so strongly inside you that to silence it would have broken you. That's why even in fear you spoke. That's why even in rejection you stood. That's why even when others called you foolish, you chose to remain loyal to the fire of God within. Chosen one, understand this: speaking truth is more than communication. It is warfare. Every time you release truth, you tear down deception. Every time you speak light, you weaken the hold of darkness. The enemy hates your voice because it carries authority, not because you are perfect, but because you are surrendered. The truth flowing through you is not yours, it is God's. And that is why it cannot be silenced. Yes, your voice may not always be welcomed. Truth rarely is. It unsettles those who benefit from lies. It disrupts those who profit from deception. But heaven never required you to be popular. Heaven required you to be faithful. And faithful you were. You may wonder, did my words even matter? Did anyone listen? Did it change anything? The answer is yes, because truth once spoken never dies. It echoes. It plants seeds in hearts. Sometimes those seeds remain hidden for years, but at the right time, they sprout. What you declared in obedience may not show results today, but in the unseen future, it will bear fruit. Look at the prophets of old. Many of them died without seeing their words fulfilled. Yet surely nations were shaken by the very words they once spoke in trembling. Do not despise the power of what God spoke through you. Your words carry a time-release anointing. At the right moment, what you declared will come alive in someone's spirit, and their life will be changed forever. Chosen one speaking truth also transforms you. Each time you declare light, your own heart becomes stronger. Your spirit becomes bolder, and your identity as God's messenger becomes clearer. Silence feeds fear, but speech builds courage. That is why you feel a little stronger now than before. That is why your spirit feels taller than when you started. You may still shake, but you are shaking with fire, not fear. Do not underestimate what it means that God trusted you with His words. The Almighty could have chosen anyone, but He chose you to carry His truth in this hour. He saw in you a vessel willing to yield, even if it cost you everything. And because you yielded, the truth you carried became a weapon in the hands of God. So, chosen one, do not regret speaking. Do not replay the conversations in your mind, wishing you had remained silent. Even if no one clapped, even if no one agreed, you spoke in obedience. That is victory. That is faith. That is the mark of one who lives not for man, but for God. You honored Him with your voice, and heaven honors you in return. Your obedience has been recorded, and in time you will see what your words accomplished. Darkness was shaken, lies were exposed, hearts were stirred, and destinies were shifted because you dared to speak truth. Chosen one, you protected your peace. That decision was not small, it was holy. In a world that glorifies chaos, noise, and endless striving, you dared to set boundaries. You chose to guard your mind, your heart, and your spirit. And in doing so, you aligned yourself with divine wisdom. You understood what many refuse to see. Peace is not weakness, it is power. There were voices demanding your attention, people pulling at your energy environments, draining your soul. Yet you had the courage to step back, to say no, when it was easier to say yes to closed doors that threatened your wholeness. Some misunderstood. They called you selfish, cold, or distant. But what they did not realize was this: you were obeying God's call to protect the temple He entrusted to you yourself. You did not protect your peace to escape responsibility. You did it to preserve your destiny. A chosen one who has no peace cannot hear heaven's instructions. A chosen one who is endlessly distracted cannot fight the battles that truly matter. You understood this, and that's why you chose wisely. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 declares, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Beloved, you lived this truth. You guarded your heart. You refused to let bitterness, drama, or endless noise poison the well of your soul. You walked away from arguments that had no fruit. You stepped back from conversations that only bred strife. You withdrew from atmospheres that stole your joy. That wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. It was strength. It was obedience to the eternal word. Beloved, because you chose this path, the heavens themselves responded. In the silence, you created angels moved more freely around you, setting shields where there had once been breaches. In the stillness, you defended your discernment, sharpened your ears, opened, and the whispers of God began to guide you with unmistakable clarity. Because of that, you created space for God to move. Silence became holy ground. Stillness became your sanctuary. In protecting your peace, you built an altar where heaven could whisper clearly, while others were consumed with chaos. You were being prepared in calm, and what God is about to birth in you is a direct result of the peace you preserved. Chosen one, pause and reflect. How many times did the enemy try to bait you into unnecessary wars? How many times did he tempt you to defend yourself, to prove your worth, to waste energy on battles that didn't matter? Yet you resisted. You refused to give away your energy to things beneath your calling. That choice alone revealed your maturity. It showed heaven you are ready for more. Protecting your peace was never about hiding. It was about healing. And now you are being restored. The clarity you feel, the strength rising within you, the fresh hope breathing into your spirit, all of it is fruit of the decision to protect what God gave you. Now, chosen one, if this word is confirming what you know in your heart, take a moment to let heaven see your agreement. Like this message, because when you do, you're not just pressing a button. You're declaring, I value peace, I honor obedience, I choose alignment. Share this with another chosen one because someone else is being drained by battles they were never called to fight, and they need to hear this reminder. And if you haven't already, subscribe, stay connected, because this flow of prophetic truth is preparing you daily to walk stronger, taller, and clearer in your calling. For those who feel led so into this message, your gift, no matter the size, becomes seed in fertile ground. It allows this word to reach further, touch more lives, and awaken more chosen ones who are waiting for a reminder of who they are. But remember, there is no pressure. Giving is never forced. It is simply another act of faith, another way of saying, Lord, I believe in what you are speaking here. Chosen one, heaven is proud of you. You did not let noise steal your voice. You did not let chaos drown your song. You chose stillness, and in that stillness, you will hear the next divine instruction. Protecting your peace was the right thing, and the fruit of it will overflow soon in ways that will astonish even you. Lift your head, breathe deep, and remember, peace is not a luxury for the chosen, it is their weapon, and you wield it well. Chosen one, you forgave anyway. That decision may have felt like tearing your own heart open, yet it was one of the most powerful victories of your life. To forgive is not natural, it is supernatural. Flesh demands revenge. Pain demands repayment. But your spirit chose a higher road. You released what could have chained you forever, and heaven is deeply pleased with you. Think of the weight you carried before. Every memory replayed, every wound whispered, every injustice begged for your anger to stay alive. You could have held on to it. You could have let bitterness grow roots. You could have allowed hatred to harden your heart. But instead, you chose freedom. Forgiveness was not weakness. It was warfare. You disarmed the enemy's weapon against you. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 states, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind." This is what forgiveness activated in you: love instead of fear, power instead of weakness, clarity instead of torment. The enemy wanted you imprisoned by anger, replaying the offense again and again. But forgiveness silenced his accusations. Forgiveness gave you back your sound mind. Forgiveness restored your peace. Forgiveness set your spirit ablaze with power. Chosen one, do not underestimate what you did. People may think forgiving means forgetting that it erases what happened. But no, forgiveness does not justify the wound. It liberates the wounded. You refused to let your future be chained to your past. You refused to give the offender authority over your destiny. By forgiving, you prove that your heart belongs fully to God, not to pain. Forgiveness is not just about them, it's about you. Your destiny is too heavy to carry alongside bitterness. Your calling is too great to be dragged down by anger. You forgave because you understood this truth. The oil of anointing flows freely only through a pure vessel. And you chose purity. Yes, your flesh wanted to resist at night. You wanted to scream, "Why should I let them go after what they did?" But your spirit whispered, "Because God let me go after what I did." That realization broke the chains. That revelation turned your pain into power. That is why your forgiveness is not just obedience, it is transformation. Look at Jesus on the cross in his most painful moment, surrounded by mockers, pierced by nails, rejected by men. He still cried out, "Father, forgive them." That same Spirit of Christ rests in you. When you forgave, you mirrored the heart of your Savior. Heaven recognized it. Angels rejoiced in it, and hell trembled because of it. Do not miss this chosen one. Your forgiveness became a weapon for others. The same way your resistance broke generational chains, your forgiveness planted generational healing. Those after you will not have to wrestle with the same bitterness because you chose to release it. Now your children, your family, your circle, they will reap freedom because you sowed forgiveness. Forgiveness also opened a gate of favor over your life. Sometimes blessings are delayed, not because God withheld them, but because bitterness clogged the flow. The moment you forgave, the dam broke. Now rivers of new opportunity, divine connection, and unexpected provision are being released to you. What was stuck is about to move. What was delayed is about to arrive. Chosen one, let this truth settle deeply. Forgiving did not make you weaker. It crowned you stronger. Forgiving did not erase your pain. It transformed it into power. Forgiving did not minimize the wound. It magnified your healing. And right now, I want you to seal this moment in the Spirit. In the comments, type this prophetic number 555. This number represents grace, multiplied freedom, unlocked, and divine transition. When you type 555, you are declaring, "I walk free from the past. I step into healing. I embrace the new." Let this be your act of faith, a visible sign of the invisible work God has done inside you. Chosen one, your story will not end in pain. The bitterness that tried to bury you has become the soil for your testimony. The forgiveness that cost you everything is birthing a future more radiant than you can imagine. And soon you will look back and realize what tried to break you only built you. What tried to silence you only strengthened you. What tried to poison you only purified you. Lift your head and breathe this truth. God is pleased with you. You forgave, and because of that, you are free. Chosen one, you prayed instead of reacting. That may seem small to the world, but in the realm of the Spirit, it was monumental. Anyone can lash out. Anyone can retaliate. Anyone can let anger speak before wisdom has a chance. But you, when the moment of testing came, when everything inside you wanted to rise up and strike back, you dropped to your knees. Instead of raising your voice in fury, you raised your heart in prayer. That one decision shifted everything. You may not have seen it in the natural, but in the unseen angels. Dispatched battles were redirected, and traps of the enemy were dismantled. By choosing prayer over reaction, you demonstrated maturity. You showed heaven that you value God's will over your own impulses, and heaven is deeply pleased with you. Think about how it could have unfolded if you had reacted in the flesh, words you can't take back. Actions you would later regret, wounds that might have gone deeper, relationships that might have been destroyed. That's exactly what the enemy wanted. He wanted you to break your own testimony with your reaction. He wanted you to feed his fire with your anger. But instead, you did the unexpected. You prayed, and because of that, you won. Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 declares, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." Chosen one, you lived this. You took your emotions, your confusion, your pain, and instead of releasing them recklessly into the air, you placed them reverently at the feet of God. Prayer became your outlet. And in doing so, you turned the very thing meant to destroy you into an offering of faith. There were nights when your pillow caught silent tears, times when your chest felt heavy with words, unspoken moments when anger burned so hot you thought it would consume you. Yet instead of exploding outward, you poured inward, lifting it all up before heaven. That was not weakness. It was the purest form of strength. It was saying, "I refuse to let my emotions govern me. I choose to let God guide me." Do you know how rare this is? Many claim to walk with God, but when tested, they let anger lead. They excuse their reactions with words like, "I had to defend myself," or "I couldn't just stay quiet." But you, though every fiber of your being wanted to answer back, chose the higher road. That silence was not defeat. That prayer was not avoidance. It was warfare. It was trust. It was proof that your heart belongs fully to God. And don't miss this, your prayer did not just change you, it changed the outcome. Where the enemy wanted escalation, prayer brought peace. Where the adversary wanted division, prayer planted seeds of reconciliation. Where the spirit of strife wanted destruction, prayer invited the Spirit of God to intervene. You didn't just avoid a mistake, you redirected the entire battle. Chosen one, think of Jesus again. When mocked, when accused, when struck, he could have called down angels in reaction. He could have responded with the full weight of heaven's power. Yet instead he prayed, "Father, forgive them." In that moment, the world thought silence was weakness, but it was in fact the greatest demonstration of divine strength. And the same Spirit now rests upon you. That prayer you whispered when no one heard it, that moment you bit your tongue and bowed your head, that choice to let God defend you instead of defending yourself, those were not wasted. They built something inside you. They made your spirit taller, your patience deeper, your faith stronger. And soon you will see why it mattered. God Himself is rising to defend you. The ones who thought your silence made you powerless will soon see the power of God answering on your behalf. The battle you placed in His hands will turn in your favor, not because you reacted, but because you prayed. So do not regret your choice. Do not replay the scenes wishing you had spoken back or proven your point. You chose the eternal victory over the temporary satisfaction. And because of that, your reward will be great. Chosen one, hear this clearly. You are not fragile. You are not timid. You are not weak. You are wise, strategic, and strong. Strong enough to stay silent when others demanded noise. Strong enough to pray when others demanded revenge. Strong enough to let God handle what you could have ruined by handling yourself. And that strength has not gone unnoticed. Heaven smiles on you. The Spirit within you is pleased, and the harvest of peace, favor, and breakthrough is already moving toward you because you prayed instead of reacting. Chosen one, you stayed when it was hardest. That decision may not have looked glamorous, but it revealed the strength of your spirit. Anyone can stay when the road is smooth, when applause is loud, when resources flow freely. But you remained steadfast in the storm, when everything in you screamed to quit, when every circumstance whispered that leaving would be easier. That endurance is the very proof that you are marked by heaven. Think back to the weight of those moments. You carried burdens others never even noticed. You smiled while secretly holding back tears. You pressed forward when your body was tired, your soul weary, your heart questioning. Others may have abandoned the race at that point, but you dug your heels deeper into the soil of faith and whispered, "I will not give up." Heaven heard it, angels noted it, God smiled at it. And though you felt unseen in those heavy hours, the truth is you were never invisible. Every tear was counted, every breath of determination recorded in the scrolls of heaven. Your weary prayers rose like incense before the throne, and the Almighty leaned in closer each time you whispered, "Surrender." What you thought was silence was actually God's deep attention. The heavens were not ignoring you. They were strengthening you, shaping you, proving that your endurance was pure gold refined in the fire. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 7 proclaims, "But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in Him." This blessing rests on you because you did not run away. You trusted God when everything seemed uncertain. You anchored yourself not in what you could see, but in who He is. That is why you endured. That is why you're still here. Staying did not mean the trial was easy. It was not. There were nights you wanted to throw everything away, days when discouragement pressed against your chest so heavily you could barely breathe. But in the stillness of your heart, a whisper kept rising. Do not quit now. The story is not finished. And so you stayed. What you did, chosen one, was more than persistence. It was warfare. Every time you stayed, you resisted the temptation of despair. Every time you endured, you silenced the enemy's lie that said, "You are too weak." Each step you took, even when heavy, was a declaration that your hope was not in circumstances, but in the God who sustains you. And here is a truth you must not forget. Endurance builds strength no shortcut can give. When you chose to remain, you forged resilience in the fire. Your spirit muscles grew, your roots went deeper, and though the storm raged above beneath the surface, you were being fortified. That's why you will not be easily moved now. That's why though others may shake you, remain grounded. Staying also positioned you for what is next. Had you walked away, you might have missed the very breakthrough God was preparing on the other side of the test. Endurance does not just hold you in place, it prepares you for promotion. What looked like delay was actually development. What felt like stagnation was actually strengthening. Look at Joseph, who endured betrayal and prison before stepping into the palace. Look at Job, who stayed faithful through unimaginable loss until restoration overflowed. Look at Jesus, who stayed on the cross when he could have called down legions of angels. Every destiny is sealed by the choice to endure when it hurts the most. And now your story joins theirs. You stayed, and because of that, you will rise. Chosen one, you must also see that your endurance has inspired others, even if they have never told you. Someone has watched you stand in the storm and found courage for their own battle. Someone has seen your quiet perseverance and whispered, "If they can keep going, so can I." Your endurance is not just your testimony, it is fuel for others. Do not despise your staying. Do not resent the season that demanded your perseverance, for in it treasures have been hidden. You are walking out of this with wisdom deeper than books can give. Faith stronger than comfort can produce, and authority greater than titles can offer. Even now, heaven is preparing to shift the season. What you endured will not last forever. Trials are temporary, but the fruit of endurance is eternal. Soon the clouds will part, the weight will lift, and the reward of staying will meet you. Until then, hold your head high. You are not just surviving, you are proving the unshakable strength of a chosen one. You stayed, and in heaven's eyes, that is victory. Chosen one, you honored the call. Even when others laughed at you, even when the voices of mockery tried to drown out your conviction, you kept walking. You knew you were chosen for more. And though the road felt lonely, you remained faithful. Many saw your obedience as foolishness, but what they could not see was that every step you took in obedience was aligning you with heaven's assignment. This is what sets you apart. You were not built to follow the crowd. You were not made to melt into the background. You carry a mark of distinction, the seal of divine calling. And that mark makes you stand out even when you would rather blend in. You cannot escape it because God Himself placed it on you before you were formed in your mother's womb. Exodus chapter 19 verse 5 declares, "Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession." Chosen one, that is who you are, a treasured possession. The enemy wanted you to believe you are expendable, ordinary, forgettable. But your very existence is proof otherwise. You are treasured, set apart, and appointed for an assignment that only you can carry. Still, honoring the call was not easy. You carried dreams that felt too heavy for your hands. You carried assignments that made no sense to others. You endured the ridicule of those who couldn't understand why you chose prayer over pleasure, fasting over feasting, purity over popularity. They didn't see the oil you were protecting the fire. You were guarding the destiny you were nurturing. But heaven saw and heaven recorded every moment. Honoring the call means saying yes when your flesh screams no. It means choosing obedience when comfort whispers to compromise. It means walking into the unknown with nothing but faith, trusting that the one who called you is faithful to carry you. And you did it. You said yes, not once, but repeatedly through the storms, through the ridicule, through the seasons where it would have been easier to quit. There were moments when you looked around and wondered, am I the only one walking this road? Loneliness pressed against you like a weight. Doubt tried to whisper, maybe you heard wrong, maybe you're wasting your life. Yet, even then, something inside you refused to bow. That something was the Spirit of God burning like fire in your bones, reminding you that your call is real, your assignment is valid, and your obedience is shaping eternity. Chosen one, every yes you gave has shifted history more than you know. Heaven measures obedience differently than earth. Earth looks for applause, titles, and recognition. Heaven looks for hidden faithfulness, quiet yeses, and costly sacrifices. And heaven is announcing now, your hidden obedience has already shaken realms you cannot yet see. Do not despise the small steps you took in faith. Each one built the foundation you now stand on. Do not belittle the nights you whispered prayers. No one heard the mornings you rose before dawn to seek His face, the hours you poured into serving with no spotlight. Those were not wasted. They were weighty. They were bricks in the temple of destiny. Chosen one, pause now and make a declaration. In the comments, type this short phrase, I say yes. Write it because every time you declare it, you reinforce the covenant you've already walked in. You're not typing empty words. You're echoing the cry of your spirit, stamping your alignment with heaven's call. And as you do know this, heaven hears angels respond, and hell trembles at the sound of your unwavering yes. Do not let the laughter of men shake you. They mocked Noah until the rain came. They mocked Joseph until the palace door opened. They mocked Jesus until the stone rolled away. Mockery is not proof of failure. It is proof you are ahead of your time. Those who cannot see what you carry will always ridicule it until God Himself vindicates you in front of them. Chosen one, honoring the call is costly, but the reward is eternal. Your yes will echo beyond your life. Generations will benefit from the path you walked in obedience. Nations may be shifted because you dared to stand firm. Heaven is already preparing the harvest of your sacrifice. So keep walking, keep saying yes. Keep carrying the fire, no matter how heavy it feels, because soon the world will see what heaven has always known. You are a chosen one who refused to bow, who honored the call, and who will be crowned with glory. Chosen one, you chose light over shadow. That single decision carried eternal weight. Darkness called to you, promising ease, pleasure, shortcuts, and quick rewards. Shadows whispered that compromise would make life smoother. Yet you refused. You stood in the light even when it exposed you, even when it cost you. That choice may have felt lonely, but it shook the very foundation of hell. The truth is, not everyone is willing to walk in light. Many prefer the cover of darkness because it hides flaws, conceals sin, and masks intention. But you chose exposure over concealment. You chose purity over secrecy. You chose truth over illusion, and by doing so, you declared to the universe, I belong to the kingdom of God. In John chapter 1, verse 5 states, The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. This verse describes you. You stood as that light shining boldly, and the darkness could not extinguish you. The attacks came, the whispers came, the loneliness came, but none of it could overcome what God placed inside you. Because the light in you is not man-made, it is divine. It carries the same flame that broke open the tomb, the same fire that birthed the church, the same brilliance that terrifies every demon in the unseen realm. Choosing light also meant losing some things. You lost people who could not walk with you. You lost opportunities that demanded your compromise. You lost moments of comfort because the light requires exposure. But every loss was actually a gain. Every door that shut preserved you from disaster. Every separation freed you for a higher alignment. It was not easy. There were days when the pull of shadow seemed tempting. Days when the thought crossed your mind, maybe if I just blend in, it will hurt less. But then the Spirit reminded you, blending in is death to destiny. And so you stood radiant even in trembling, refusing to let your flame go out. Do you realize what that did? Chosen one, your very presence became disruptive to darkness. The enemy hates you not because of what you own, not because of what you wear, but because of what you carry. Your light exposes what others try to hide. Your very being convicts rooms of their hidden shadows. That is why resistance has been so strong against you. It is proof that your light is real. And here's the truth: the brighter your light, the louder your impact. You may feel small, but the ripple of your obedience is shaking realms you cannot see. When you chose light, you didn't just protect yourself. You became a beacon for others lost in the dark. You became a lighthouse guiding wandering souls towards safety. Chosen one, let me speak plainly. What you carry must not be hidden. This world needs your light. That is why I invite you now, if this word resonates in your spirit, show heaven your agreement. Like this message, because it is your way of saying, I choose the light. Share it because someone you know is drowning in shadow and desperately needs the reminder that light still wins. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Stay connected to this stream because more words are coming that will strengthen your flame and keep your lamp burning. Darkness wants you isolated, but connection with truth will keep you sharp, steady, and glowing. For those who feel a stirring deeper, consider giving. Sow into the light. Every gift you release becomes fuel for this flame, a way to push these messages further into the lives of other chosen ones who are waiting for confirmation. You are not just donating, you are partnering with heaven's agenda. And though the gift may leave your hand, it never leaves your life. It multiplies. It returns, it overflows. But know this: whether you give or not, your obedience matters most. Your yes to the light is the greatest seed of all, and heaven has already seen it. So lift your head, chosen one. You are not hidden, you are not dim, you are blazing with a flame that cannot be extinguished. Darkness tried to seduce you, but you refused. And because you chose the light, heaven is preparing to elevate you. Let this truth settle in you. You carry a fire that terrifies the shadows, and the world will see it burn. Chosen one you loved, when hate was easier. That decision alone sets you apart from the crowd, because the natural response to betrayal, rejection, and cruelty is retaliation. Yet when you stood at that crossroads, you chose compassion over bitterness. Your heart, though wounded, refused to harden. Instead of mirroring the darkness aimed at you, you became a mirror of Christ, radiating love where anger should have lived. It wasn't easy. Loving in the face of hate often feels like pouring water into dry ground that refuses to bloom. You gave kindness and received mockery. You offered peace and were met with chaos. You extended forgiveness and were repaid with betrayal. The world would call that foolishness, but heaven calls it greatness. Heaven saw your choice and recorded it as a victory that echoes louder than any earthly applause. Love, when it costs you, becomes the purest form of worship. It proves that your allegiance is not to your emotions, but to your Savior. Every time you chose to love, you silenced the enemy's accusation that your heart could be poisoned by bitterness. Every act of compassion was a declaration that you belong fully to God, that His Spirit governs your actions, not your wounds. Romans chapter 12, verse 21 declares, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Chosen one, this is what you lived. You refused to let evil overcome you. Instead, you overcame it not with revenge, not with bitterness, but with goodness that only heaven could plant inside you. That is strength, that is power, that is kingdom authority. Understand this: loving those who mistreated you did not make you weak, it made you invincible. Anyone can hate. It takes no strength to mirror cruelty, but it takes supernatural resilience to stand in the fire of hostility and still respond with love. That is not weakness, it is divine warfare. Love disarms hate. Love confuses the enemy. Love breaks chains that revenge can never touch. Think of Jesus spat upon, struck, pierced, mocked, and yet His words were not curses, but intercession. "Father, forgive them." That is the model you carried when you chose love. And because of that, the same Spirit that raised Him from the dead is alive in you, making you victorious in ways you cannot yet imagine. Loving in such moments also planted seeds you may not see right away. Some who mistreated you will one day remember your kindness when conviction strikes their hearts. Others who mocked you will recall your patience and realize they encountered the Spirit of God through you. Your love was not wasted. It is a seed sown into eternity. But even if no one ever acknowledges it, know this: God saw, and His reward will overflow far greater than human recognition ever could. Heaven measures differently what men dismiss as weakness. God crowns as glory. Do not think your love went unnoticed in the spiritual realm either. Every act of kindness was a strike against the enemy's plan. Every refusal to hate was a fortress built around your destiny. Demons that sought to drag you into bitterness fled at the sound of your compassion. Hell cannot stand against love, because love is the very essence of God Himself. Chosen one, let this truth settle deep. Your ability to love in the face of hostility reveals that your heart is unshakable. It shows that no matter what was thrown at you, it could not change the essence of who you are. They tried to harden you, but you remained tender. They tried to poison you, but you remained pure. They tried to silence you, but you kept shining. That resilience is rare. Many grow cold when hate comes. Many lose their softness after betrayal. But you refuse to let your experiences rob you of your essence. And because of that, your light burns even brighter. Now your journey proves that love is not weakness. It is the weapon of the chosen. And though at times it hurt, though at times it cost you, though, at times it left you misunderstood, it was still worth it, because with every act of love, you aligned more fully with heaven's character. So, walk forward boldly. Do not regret the compassion you gave. Do not wish you had retaliated. Do not believe the lie that your love was wasted. For in truth, your love became a weapon. Your love became a shield. Your love became the proof that you are truly a chosen one. Chosen one you gave when you lacked. That moment of surrender may have seemed small to others, but to heaven it was monumental. Anyone can give when abundance is overflowing. Anyone can be generous when there is no cost, when resources are plentiful, when their own needs are already satisfied. But you gave out of your lack. You offered when your own hands felt empty. You trusted when logic screamed at you to hold back. And because of that, God is deeply pleased with you. There were days you looked at your situation and thought, I barely have enough for myself. The enemy whispered, keep it. You can't afford to give. Protect what little you have. Yet something within you, the Spirit of God, rose up stronger than fear and whispered, trust me, release it. And so you did not reluctantly, not bitterly, but with faith. And that act of obedience became a seed that will not return void. Psalm chapter 37, verse 25 states, I was young, and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken, or their children begging bread. Chosen one, that promise is for you. God saw the risk in your generosity. He saw the trust behind your giving. He saw the tears that sometimes accompanied your offering. And He declares, you will not be forsaken. Your seed will not be forgotten. Your children will not lack. Your act of faith has summoned provision you cannot even imagine. Understand this, your generosity was warfare. The kingdom of darkness feeds on fear of scarcity. The enemy wants to convince you that you must cling tightly to survive. But every time you gave, you broke his lie. Every time you released, you declared, my source is not the world. My source is the Lord. That declaration shook the unseen. That act of faith unlocked doors of provision angels are even now preparing to bring into your life. Do not think your gift was too small. Heaven does not measure by size, but by sacrifice. Jesus himself pointed to the widow who gave 2 small coins and declared that her offering outweighed the riches of the wealthy. Why? Because she gave from her lack. She gave what cost her. And you have done the same. Chosen one, you may not yet see the harvest of what you gave, but the principle is unshakable. What leaves your hand in obedience never leaves your life. It enters a cycle of multiplication at the appointed time in ways you cannot predict. It returns pressed down, shaken together, and running over. There is also something else. You must know your giving was not just about material provision. It also protected your heart. Generosity is a shield against greed, a wall against selfishness, a guardrail against the spirit of poverty. Every time you gave in faith, you purified your motives, aligned your heart, and declared with your life, I trust the giver more than the gift. This posture has made you ready for more. God can now trust you with greater because you proved faithful with little. He can release abundance into your hands because He knows you will not cling to it. You will channel it. You are not just a receiver, you are a vessel, and vessels that pour out never run dry. Chosen one, I want you to seal this moment in the Spirit as a prophetic act of faith. Type this number in the comments, 888. This number represents new beginnings, overflowing provision, and divine multiplication. When you type 888, you are declaring, I believe my giving has not been in vain. I trust God to multiply what I released. I step into a season of more than enough. Let the enemy see your declaration and tremble. Let heaven see it and rejoice. You gave when you lacked, And because of that, God Himself is preparing to overflow your cup. So hold your head high. Do not regret the moments you released, what felt impossible to give. Do not believe the lie that nothing changed. For even now in the unseen doors are unlocking, provision is moving, blessings are aligning. And soon the world will see what you already know. Your giving was not loss. It was investment into eternity. Chosen one, God is pleased with you. You gave when you lacked, and now abundance is on the horizon. Chosen one, you waited instead of rushing. That decision may not seem spectacular to others, but in the spirit it was monumental. The world pushes urgency, rushing, and impatience, always demanding immediate results, instant gratification, quick answers. Yet when pressure mounted, when the temptation came to force your way forward, you resisted. You chose to wait for God's timing. That choice preserved you from counterfeits that would have derailed your destiny. Waiting is not passive, it is warfare. Each time you waited, you were wrestling your flesh into submission. Your heart cried, "Now," but your spirit whispered, "Not yet." And you listened to the whisper. That act of surrender was obedience at its finest. You trusted that the one who called you is faithful to provide in His own time. Patience became your weapon, though unseen. While others sprinted blindly, you stood anchored in the promises of God, proving that your destiny was worth more than shortcuts. Waiting stripped away the illusion of control, reminding you daily that the author of time Himself holds your future securely in His hands. And though waiting felt like silence, heaven was never still. In the quiet, angels were arranging alignments. Opportunities were being shaped and unseen doors were being carved out for you. Your obedience in delay created space for miracles that haste would have stolen. Every second of waiting carried eternal purpose. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 21. Questions. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow Him. And you chose to follow God even in waiting. You refused to waver between rushing ahead and trusting His plan. And though others mocked your patience, heaven applauded it. Angels stood guard around you because you did not compromise in haste. Understand this: rushing always comes with a cost. It leads to wrong doors, wrong people, wrong outcomes. The enemy often cloaks traps in urgency, whispering, "If you don't act now, you'll miss your chance." But you, though tempted, paused. You prayed. You stayed still when everything screamed to move. That pause alone saved you from destruction you may never even know existed. Waiting also refined you. In the silence of delay, your character deepened. In the stillness of unanswered prayers, your faith was purified. In the stretch of time, your strength was forged. This is why you carry resilience now that others cannot explain. It was birthed in waiting. Chosen one, remember Abraham, who was promised descendants as numerous as the stars, yet waited decades for Isaac. Joseph waited in prison years before the palace. David waited long seasons between his anointing and his crown. Even Jesus waited 30 years before stepping fully into public ministry. Waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. Every great destiny is shaped in seasons of delay. And so it was with you. While others rushed, you remained still. While others forced doors, you let God open them. While others settled for counterfeits, you preserved yourself for the authentic. That is why heaven is pleased. Your patience has aligned you perfectly for what is coming. Do not despise the waiting. It was not wasted time. It was invested time. While you thought nothing was happening, roots were growing. While you thought doors were closed, foundations were being laid. While you thought you were falling behind, God was setting you up for acceleration. The moment He says, "Now," everything will move quickly, and you will realize why He kept you still for so long. Chosen one, the waiting also revealed your trust. Anyone can praise when the answer comes fast, but it takes true faith to praise while the answer tarries. You proved that your hope is not in timelines, but in the timeless one. You showed that your faith is not built on outcomes, but on the character of God Himself. Even now, though you may not see the full picture, heaven is declaring you did not wait in vain. The time is coming when what you hoped for will manifest. And when it does, you will not just rejoice in the blessing. You will rejoice in the journey that prepared you to hold it. For here is the truth. The waiting was not just about the promise. It was about the person you became. In the process, stronger, wiser, more discerning, more resilient, ready not just to receive, but to steward. That is the fruit of your patience. So stand tall, chosen one. Do not regret the delay. Do not wish you had rushed. Do not envy those who seem to move faster. For when the hand of God lifts you, you will rise higher, last longer, and shine brighter because you chose to wait instead of rushing. Chosen one, you trusted God's silence. That choice was heavier than most realize, because silence is often harder to bear than storms. Storms at least remind you that something is happening, that heaven is moving, that God is near. But silence can feel like absence, like abandonment, like unanswered prayers hanging in the air. Yet even in that silence, you chose to believe. You refused to walk away. You whispered, "God, even if I do not hear you, I still trust you." And that, beloved, is faith at its purest. Faith is not proven in moments of clarity. Faith is proven when there is no voice, no sign, no confirmation, only waiting hearts and unanswered questions. The world tells you silence means neglect, but the Spirit whispers that silence means trust. When heaven withholds the answer, it is not rejection, it is formation. God was building in you a depth of faith that cannot be shaken by what your ears hear or do not hear. Isaiah chapter 55 verse 9 declares, "As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Chosen one, His silence was never a void. It was a higher thought, a greater way, a divine orchestra beyond your understanding. What felt like delay was design. What felt like distance was development. While you were straining to hear a word, God was shaping the stage for the fulfillment of the promise. Think of the seasons you endured, moments of kneeling on the floor, whispering prayers into the night, and hearing nothing but the sound of your own breath. Times you begged for a sign, a dream, a confirmation, yet the heavens seemed sealed shut, and still you held on. That holding on is what heaven applauds today. The silence was not empty. It tested your trust. It asked, "Will you follow me, even without constant reassurance? Will you remain faithful when I speak less than you want? Will you cling to what I already said, instead of demanding a new word?" And your answer through your endurance was yes. Chosen one's silence also purified your motives. Many chase after God for what He can say, what He can give, what He can reveal. But in silence, the question arises, do you love Him, or only for His voice? Your waiting heart proved that your love was deeper than answers. It was rooted in relationship. Remember Abraham, who was asked to wait in silence for a son. Remember Hannah, who prayed in anguish year after year with no response, yet never stopped coming before the Lord. Remember Mary and Martha, who waited in silence while their brother lay in the tomb until the silence broke with resurrection. Silence never meant abandonment. Silence meant that a greater glory was being prepared. Do not despise those quiet seasons. They became the soil where your roots grew deeper than storms could shake. While others gave up in frustration, you pressed in. While others left because they didn't hear what they wanted, you remained. That is why your foundation now is unshakable. Chosen one silence is also a shield. Sometimes God withholds answers not to punish, but to protect. If He had revealed too much too soon, the enemy would have used it against you. If He had spoken prematurely, you might have moved outside His timing. His silence was safeguarding your destiny. And now, though you may not realize it, you are stronger because of it. Your faith no longer depends on constant affirmation. Your spirit has matured beyond chasing signs. You carry a depth of trust that terrifies the enemy because he knows silence cannot shake you anymore. There will come a time when you will look back and thank God for every silent night because the things He was aligning in the unseen, the breakthroughs He was preparing in the background, the protection He was setting in place, all of it will become clear. What felt like heaven ignoring you will be revealed as heaven surrounding you. So walk forward with peace. Do not fear silence. Do not mistake quiet for absence. Do not let unanswered prayers make you think you were forgotten, for you were never alone, not even once. The God who spoke galaxies into being does not need to repeat Himself to be present. His silence is still full of love. And the day will come soon when that silence will break and the word you have been waiting for will come with such clarity, such power, such undeniable confirmation that every moment of silence will suddenly make sense. Until then, keep trusting, for even in silence, God has been speaking through your endurance, your patience, your faith. Chosen one, you refused to go back. That decision may have felt like the hardest yet, but it was also the most defining. The past tugged at you old habits, old patterns, old relationships, old comforts. They all whispered your name, promising familiarity, safety, and ease. Yet you stood firm and declared, "I cannot return. I will not return. I have been called forward." That act sealed heaven's endorsement on your life. Going back always feels easier than pressing forward. The wilderness made you weary. The waiting tested your strength, and the silence stretched your faith. In those moments, the past looked appealing, but you knew deep inside that to return would be to abandon destiny, to betray the progress you've made, to undo the healing you fought for. And so, even with trembling knees, you kept moving forward. Philippians chapter 3, verse 13 states, "Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize God has called me to in Christ." This is your testimony. You pressed on. You refused to let what was behind you dictate what lies ahead. You may have been tempted to glance back, but you did not stay there. You kept walking step by step into the unknown, knowing that God was waiting on the other side. Chosen one, do you realize the power in your no turning back? The enemy had built snares behind you, hoping to lure you into cycles you already escaped. He painted the past in false colors, making it seem brighter than it was. But you discerned the lie. You remembered the pain, the emptiness, the chains, and you said no. That refusal shattered hell's plan to recycle your destiny, and heaven noticed. The angels rejoiced as you broke patterns that bound generations before you. Your simple decision not to return became a prophetic act of freedom. You proved to heaven and to hell that you are unshakable, unmovable, and unstoppable. Now, hear this truth. Your future is brighter because of your refusal to go back. Every time you press forward, you step into new, oil-fresh authority and divine promotion. The very doors you thought were locked are opening because you chose progress over regression. Chosen one, pause here. If this word resonates in your spirit, show your agreement in faith. Like this message not just as an action, but as a declaration. I will not return to what God delivered me from. Share it with someone who is still fighting the temptation to return to old cycles, because your testimony may be the very encouragement that saves them. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do so now. Stay aligned with this stream, because words of fire and strength are flowing continually to keep you moving forward. Don't walk this path alone. Stay connected to reminders that lift you, empower you, and anchor you in your calling. For those who feel a deeper stirring, consider giving. Sow into this word, not because you're pressured, but because it is holy ground. Every seed you release declares, I am moving forward into my future. I am investing in the destiny God has for me. What leaves your hand in faith never leaves your life. It becomes a multiplied harvest, waiting to meet you at the right time. And I invite you, chosen one, to write in the comments these simple words, no turning back. When you type it, you are sealing your decision. You are declaring to heaven and to hell alike that you are not retreating, not compromising, not surrendering to the past. You are stepping forward into destiny, into purpose, into promise. Do not despise how hard it has been. The difficulty is proof of the weight of your calling. If your future carried no value, the enemy would not have fought so hard to drag you backward. But the battle you endured only proves the greatness of what lies ahead. So lift your head, chosen one. You have done the right thing. You refused to return. You broke the cycle. You sealed your destiny. And because of that, the reward of heaven is moving toward you with unstoppable force. The crown is prepared. The testimony is rising, and the glory ahead will make every sacrifice worth it. Chosen one, you became a testimony. Do you realize the weight of that? Your life, your journey, your scars, and your victories are no longer just your story. They are evidence of God's faithfulness. Every tear, every step, every act of obedience has been woven into a narrative that points upward, a living declaration that God still moves, still speaks, still saves. There was a time when you thought your pain would destroy you, nights when your pillow carried the weight of silent cries, days when the future looked uncertain and hopelessness crept in like a shadow. Yet you did not stay there. You rose, you kept walking, you kept believing. And now, what once looked like defeat has become a chapter of testimony that others will read and find strength in. Matthew chapter 5 verse 16 declares, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Chosen one, that is you. Your light is shining not because life was easy, but because you kept it burning in the storm. Your testimony is not about perfection. It is about perseverance, not about flawless victories, but about faith that refused to die. And when people see you standing now, when they hear what you endured, they cannot help but see the hand of God. Becoming a testimony means your story is no longer just for you. Your endurance has become someone else's encouragement. Your forgiveness has become someone else's roadmap. Your resistance has become someone else's breakthrough. The very battles you thought were personal are now communal victories. Someone somewhere is standing taller because they saw you refuse to bow. Understand this: testimonies are not just words spoken, they are lives lived. Your walk, your choices, your presence radiate a message louder than sermons. You are a walking reminder that God can redeem, that He can restore, that He can take ashes and form beauty. And do not underestimate how far your testimony travels. You may not know who is watching. You may not realize whose heart is being stirred just by observing your faithfulness. Some who never speak of it will quietly draw courage from your example. Others who mocked before will one day remember your steadfastness when they themselves face trials. Testimonies ripple outward in ways unseen. Chosen one, your testimony also silences the enemy. Every time he whispered that you would not survive, your survival itself became the rebuke. Every time he said you would never rise again, your rising became the contradiction. Every time he plotted your downfall, your endurance became his humiliation. You simply, by still standing, have proven him a liar. And here is a mystery: testimonies carry power not just for others, but also for you. Each time you recall what God has done, you strengthen your own faith. Every remembrance becomes fuel for the next season. Every reflection becomes a reminder that the same God who carried you before will carry you again. Think of Israel instructed to build altars of remembrance stones, raised not for decoration but for testimony, so that generations later children would ask, "What do these stones mean?" And the story of God's deliverance would be told again. You, chosen one, are one of those living stones set in place as evidence for generations that God is still faithful. Do not despise the scars you carry. They are not marks of shame. They are proof that you survived. They are your testimony written on your skin, evidence of battles fought and won. When others see those scars, they see victory. When you trace them, you remember grace. Chosen one, becoming a testimony is not about drawing attention to yourself. It is about redirecting attention to Him. Every "how did you make it" becomes an opportunity to say, "Because God carried me." Every "why didn't you give up" becomes a chance to whisper, "Because He held me." You are the living stage upon which His glory shines. And here is the promise: your testimony is not finished. The chapters ahead will carry even greater glory. The victories yet to come will echo louder than those already written. The story is still unfolding, and each page will reveal more of the author's hand. So walk boldly, chosen one. Know that your life is speaking louder than you realize. Know that your endurance is preaching sermons without words. Know that your journey is inspiring, convicting, strengthening those you may never meet. You are a testimony, and heaven is proud of the story your life tells. Chosen one, God smiles on you. That radiant smile from heaven is not casual. It is the eternal confirmation that your journey, your choices, your endurance, and your obedience have delighted His heart. Through every valley, through every test, through every sacrifice, you have carried yourself as one marked by His hand. And now heaven is declaring over you, well done." This smile is not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful. You stumbled, yes. You cried, yes. You had nights when doubt wrestled in your chest. Yet, through it all, you did not quit. You kept pressing forward. You kept saying yes. You kept returning to His presence, even when you felt broken. That is what pleases Him, your relentless faith, your unwavering devotion, your refusal to bow to darkness. Every stumble became proof of your humanity, but every rising again became proof of God's strength in you. Your tears, far from being wasted, became offerings poured before His throne. Each cry in the night was collected like precious jewels in heaven's bowls. God did not despise your brokenness. He cherished it. For even in the moments you felt least worthy, your heart kept leaning toward Him in trust. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17 declares, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In His love, He will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." Chosen one, imagine that the God of the universe rejoicing over you with singing. Not with condemnation, not with disappointment, but with delight. Heaven's song is not about your failures. It is about your faith. The angels are not rehearsing your mistakes. They are celebrating your victories. God Himself looks at you and sees His beloved child crowned with glory, marked with purpose. His smile is also His seal. When heaven smiles, it is not just affection, it is affirmation. It is the mark that says, "This one belongs to me." The world may reject you, but the King has approved you. People may misunderstand you, but the Father has chosen you. You carry His seal, and that seal cannot be broken. Do you realize what that means? It means that nothing you endured was wasted. Every tear watered seeds of destiny. Every sacrifice became a stepping stone. Every trial carved out capacity for greater glory. And now, as you stand at this moment, you are not the same person who began the journey. You are stronger, purer, and closer to Him than ever before. God's smile is also His promise. It says, "What I began in you, I will complete." You are not unfinished business. You are a masterpiece in progress, and the artist has not laid down his brush. The colors of your life may sometimes look chaotic, but He is weaving them into a painting that will one day take your breath away. Chosen one, do not underestimate what lies ahead. The smile of God over you now is also the guarantee of future glory. You will walk into doors that seemed impossible. You will see prayers answered that once felt forgotten. You will carry testimonies that will inspire generations. Because when God is pleased, power follows. And when God smiles, heaven opens. Remember this, crowns are not given to those who start the race, but to those who finish. And you, though weary, though scarred, though tested, are still running. You have not abandoned your post. You have not surrendered your call. That is why a crown of glory awaits you, one that no hand of man can remove. So breathe deeply, chosen one. Rest in the truth that you are loved beyond measure. You are not tolerated. You are celebrated. You are not forgotten. You are engraved on His palms. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are being guided by the smile of the Almighty. Let that smile carry you through the days ahead. Let it remind you when trials come again that you are already approved. Let it strengthen you when doubt whispers that heaven is already singing your name. Let it assure you when the world feels heavy that God Himself delights in you. You have done the right thing. You have walked the narrow road. You have honored your call. And now the Lord rejoices over you. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter of glory. Chosen one, the journey has been spoken, the testimony has been unveiled, and heaven's affirmation has been declared. You did the right thing, and God is deeply pleased with you. Every section of this message has been a mirror reflecting your obedience, your resilience, your faith, and your destiny. Now, as we close this script, the seal of heaven rests over you. But this is not where your story ends. It is only where this chapter pauses. You have been reminded of who you are, but the days ahead will reveal even more. New seasons, new battles, new victories will come. And through it all, you will walk clothed in the certainty that you are chosen. I invite you now to take this message further. If these words spoke to your spirit, let your agreement be seen. Like this message because it is more than an action. It is an affirmation that your heart is aligned with heaven. Share it with someone who is still wavering, because you never know whose life may be lifted by the same reminder that lifted you. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Stay connected because the stream of heaven's voice will not stop here. There are more words, more revelations, more confirmations waiting to strengthen you daily. Do not walk this journey alone. Walk with a community of chosen ones, rising together. For those who feel the Spirit stir deeper, sow into this work. Give not as obligation, but as worship, as alignment, as partnership. Your seed ensures that this flame keeps burning, reaching more lives, reminding more chosen ones of who they are. What you release never leaves your life. It returns multiplied in ways beyond imagination. So stand tall, smile, with heaven move forward in strength, and remember always, you are God's chosen one, and He is deeply pleased with you.